there is some controversy about an event that is happening north of our border here in the United States. And it has to do with a pride event and recovering from religion, one of my favorite organizations, periods. And certainly they have been pro-LGBT, and yet they are being denied access to a pride event in Canada. I want to get the details on that, so I'm talking to Blake Collett, an ambassador for RFR. Blake, good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on, Seth.
What's the name of the event in question?
It's the St. John's Pride in the park after the parade.
And RFR wanted to participate in what capacity?
We wanted to be a participant in terms of have a table set up, as we have done at many Pride events, to have a display, to give out pamphlets and brochures. As a nonprofit organization, we would be there just more or less interacting with people, basically a nonprofit vendor.
So I've got an email that you have shown me here, an email of acceptance from the co-chair of the event. He said, "Thanks for reaching out. Apologies for the delay in getting back. Recovering from religion is welcome to have a space at our Pride in the Park celebrations after the parade." This seems like an enthusiastic welcome. Blake, this was your initial response, right?
Yeah, we were very excited. We were welcomed. We immediately thanked them for letting us attend. Then we immediately started working at logistic details. Yeah, so I went back and told Daryl, Dr. Daryl Ray, our president, we were very excited to have the first presence ever in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
So how long did this agreeable exchange go on, this back and forth of emails and preparation?
The exchange went on for approximately 1 week, back and forth saying, yep, you guys can show up, fill out the proper application, which we did. They said, because you're a nonprofit organization, there was no fee. When you come in, they did ask that we coexist with the Out in Faith NL group. So we had discussions with them. Everything went back and forth till about June 9th. The acceptance came on June 2nd, and the final correspondence was on June 9th.
I want to read from that email, if I may. It says, "Hello, Blake. Thank you for your interest in participating as a vendor at Pride in the Park. After thoughtful consideration and consultation with our board and broader community, we have decided to respectfully withdraw our approval to participate in this year's event as a vendor. While we appreciate the important work you do, we did not find a strong alignment with the focus of Pride in the Park, particularly in regard to visible engagement with the 2S LGBTQIA plus community." That's a mouthful for me. I just usually say LGBT. Our event aims to center and celebrate this community, and we carefully consider how each vendor supports that mission. Forgive my ignorance, Blake, real fast. Can you help me teach me what this means? 2SL LGBTQIA plus. What do those mean?
Oh, the acronym. Yeah. So it's Two-Spirit. Lesbian, gay, trans, bi, intersex, and plus covers all other groups. So that's the acronym. It's an expanded acronym. It used to be just LGBTQ plus, but now they've invited the Two-Spirit.
All right. Well, if I use LGBT,
we're good.
I mean, will you assume the rest for me? Okay, for brevity's sake here. What was interesting is that the co-chair did some media after there was a public response by you. Did you guys go to the press when it was over? Like, did you say, hey, if we're not invited to participate, and I think Daryl Ray said that roughly a third of RFR's leadership is LGBTQ. Is that right?
That is a fact. Yep. About a third of our leadership and probably a little less, we're not sure the exact numbers, of our volunteers identify as part of that community.
And as I understand it, according to Daryl, one of the people on the board who may have objected to your appearance and participation is himself a minister. Is that right?
To my knowledge, that is correct.
So we can intuit, or we can infer maybe, that religious people are weird about a non-religious organization being in their midst. You're not going after churches, though. You're not showing up and saying, screw the rest of you guys. You're not holding up banners that say all of this mythology is stupid and superstition. It's not about any religious criticism. And RFR really doesn't do that anyway, right?
Now, the mission of RFR is to provide hope and support for those people who have been harmed by a religion or questioning their faith. So we have been there for the 2S LGBTQIA plus community for a long time, since our beginning. One of our members has attended 30 Pride events in 30 years. So no, we don't go there. We're not there to debate. And in fact, one of our mandates is if somebody shows up and says, hey, what do you guys believe in God or what? No, we don't engage that. That's not what Recovering from Religion is for. We're here to provide help and support. That's it.
So then you told the organization, if we're disinvited, even though we are an advocate organization, we're disinvited, you feel that you might have no choice but to go public. Would that include talking to the press, et cetera? And did they consider that a threat?
They did. When at first the wording we used was we may have to look to alternative methods to get answers for our board. We were as gentle as possible because we weren't getting a reply, and that prompted a reply. And then Daryl came back with his reply.
From the email, which was sent July the 6th, Dear Eddie, the co-chair, this is Dr. Daryl Ray, president of the board for Recovering from Religion International. Our Canadian volunteers let me know of the St. John's Pride acceptance, then rejection a month later. Looking over the correspondence, I cannot but think some mistake has been made in the research of your team. We are about as LGBTQ allied as is humanly possible. We have several LGBTQ board members. Several of our director level people are LGBTQ. We have over 500 volunteers worldwide with around 20% or more identifying as LGBTQ. We create hundreds of hours of content with around 25% being directly related to issues LGBTQ people face. Our resource library is full of curated help for LGBTQ people all over the world. Now, what I find interesting, Blake, is that Eddie, the co-chair, did a media interview himself. Is it a radio interview that he gave?
Yes, it was a radio interview with VOCM News.
And when he was talking about you, he said that there was a concern that you had tokenized LGBTQ people.
The big thing here is like this group isn't part of our community. And at first we had looked at it and we saw the application. We kind of did a really high level outreach to members in the community and said, how do we feel about this? And at first, at face value, people said, this shouldn't be a problem. And then there were some concerns that got raised in the community about how, and this again, just no connection to our local community. People weren't sure what their motive was. There's always a concern that queer people are tokenized in these kinds of groups and these kinds of movements. So purely just out of an abundance of caution, we had reached out to them and said, you know what, we looked into this deeper. We don't have an established relationship with you folks. And we said to them, your representatives are more than welcome to attend and be part of Pride, because as far as we understand it, the person that's connected to them locally is a member of the queer community, just not in St. John's or the Avalon. So we had said, we still encourage your person to attend and to take in the festival and participate and kind of get some time in community. And if we can, we'll talk about this in August and see what next year looks like. And they did not like that response. And there was a escalation protocol that got launched. City councilors were contacted for comment on this, which why we don't understand. They got very aggressive, demanding to see our internal policies, and we were given timelines of when we had to respond or things are being escalated. And I can understand people being upset because Pride's a fun time. You want to be a part of it, but the way that things have played out over the last couple of weeks since we informed them and just asked them to come and be in community is really interesting, and it really speaks to an entitlement to access to our community that some groups have, and it's something that we try and be really cognizant of, and that we try and navigate as best we can. And we're never going to get it 100% right. And Recovering from Religion may be an apt group that should be at Pride, but the big thing is that they're not a part of our community, and they don't have a connection to our community. But there is this sense of entitlement that have access to our community, and the reality is that these are events that are put off by St. John's Pride. And first and foremost, we try and make sure that the community that we know are protected and that they're going to have a good time. Not to say that anything wouldn't have happened, but it's that missing connection piece. So I think that if Recovering from Religion wants to participate in future prides, that there's just some work that has to happen between both organizations so that we know who they are, we know what they're about, and then that could be future times. But I think if things keep going the way that they are, it's going to be hard for us to kind of build that relationship out.
So the door isn't closed?
No, and we told them that. We were very, very clear in our email correspondence to them of like, we encourage your members to attend because they're queer. They're queer members in Newfoundland and Labrador, and if they're looking to find community, that's what we offer up. And we just told them we're in the middle of our festival. We can't dedicate time towards this, but we'd be willing to speak. Be willing to speak after the festival. And then press releases started going out, and we were accused of only catering to faith groups, and that was the other thing is anybody that's in queer organizing and pride organizing, to be accused of making a requirement to participate is that you have to be a person of faith. That would not be a very full Pride festival, and I think it's indicative of how there's a little bit of a disconnect there between their organization and what it is that Prides do.
You would assure anybody and everybody who was within listening distance of that interview that LGBT people are not tokenized within RFR, right?
They're not. They're really not. It's we're there to support them. We have a support group once a month, which is huge. I've actually been a host in it. We've had to bring in extra hosts because we have so many people show up. We take calls every day from people in that community. I think they're the furthest from tokenized as you can get.
So what's the goal now with the event, which is coming up in a few days? If they were to invite you or re-invite you after disinviting you after inviting you, would you participate, or is the goal now something else? What are you trying to achieve with this publicity here?
100% our goal is to be welcome. We will show up. We will shake everybody's hand. There will be no ill will. Bygones be bygones. If that doesn't happen, we will be going to the event and attempting to attend in some capacity. I'm not sure where it's a public park. If we'll be asked to leave, given the nature of the event, that I'm not sure of. But our goal in this, either way, is to attend, and we really want to attend as equals. That is our only goal here, to be included.
So Blake isn't going to be out there with a big sign that says, screw these guys, trying to march in the parade. That's not going to be your MO. That's not what's going to happen.
No. And I have lots of, family and friends who are part of this community as well. So I not only represent RFR, I'm representing them as well.
How can we support you at this measure? Just getting the word out that you were disinvited and that all you want to do is be an advocate. I know we want to promote secular humanist values and talk about how we are advocates and agents of good. Beyond that, is there anything we can do for you?
I think reaching out to, not in a protest manner, but reaching out to, St. John's Pride in a manner to ask, we feel this group should be included. Pride is about equity, diversity, and inclusion. So include us. What we don't want is anybody calling up in any kind of militant fashion or any kind of anger. We want to do this right. We've conducted ourselves with professionalism, and I've had the very fortunate task of working under Dr. Darrell Ray, who's been phenomenal. And we want to continue to build the reputation and, support us, call St. John's Pride, pop us, we're actually accepting some things on our social media from people who have been helped by Recovering from Religion. So anything like that, just we ask not in a militant fashion. The idea here is to get acceptance in this.
We just want a seat at the table. We just want a fair and equal seat at the table to fight for a worthy cause. Blake Collett, Ambassador for Recovering from Religion. I'll accumulate some links, throw those in the description box, and we'll keep an eye on your story and let us know if anything else happens. Okay, brother?
Thanks, Seth. Greatly appreciate your time.